We've done tons of stories down in Jacksonville. Large-scale black mob violence, small-scale, nasty business, trivial business, at the beach, downtown, and the suburbs, and the shopping centers, and the schools, over and over and over, all surrounded by a lot of denial, deceit, and delusion from public officials and reporters. Just the other day, somebody decided, well, the Black Commission says, I don't know, it's weird there's such a thing called the Black Commission. The Black Commission says we have an emergency in Jacksonville. We got to have a meeting. And so each one of us is entitled after we hear that, before the meeting, to say, hey, is this just going to be another one of those meetings where everybody gets together and describes all these really, 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 really complicated problems that can only be solved by more free stuff? I'll let you be the judge of that.
Shootings, community activists are calling for a citywide state of emergency to address this violence. Members of the Northside Coalition and the Black Commission believe the solutions will have to come from the impacted communities with help from City Hall. A town hall style meeting has been called for tomorrow. On your side, Ken Amaro is in the community with more for us.
There is growing frustrations in the community affected by all this crime. It happened again. And now community activists are calling on their communities to do something. In this neighborhood, behind the loud sound of construction workers, there is a deafening silence of crime fatigue. What is it going to take to put it to an end?
It's going to take the families. It's going to take those people that are concerned.
Dallas Sekou is CEO of the Black Commission, a nonprofit.
We've been in a crisis, and it's been time to act.
He knows the impact on families firsthand. His son was killed in street violence in Atlanta. Sekou is calling for more prevention and intervention.
If you had a section of the community that was dying from opioid addiction, certain city council members were able to find $1 million and give it to a certain doctor or certain clinics in the city. This is the same thing. But
the Black Commission is not alone in its call.
We cannot arrest our way from out of this.
Ben Frazier's president of the Northside Coalition.
We're suggesting that things are so bad right now that there needs to be a citywide state of emergency declared.
Frazier is also a member of the city's task force on crime.
We think that there's not enough of a sense of urgency.
The Northside Coalition presented a 10-point plan in September. It includes jobs. Sekou's Black Commission has adopted resolutions calling for similar outcomes.
We've got to do things differently.
The community has called for an emergency meeting to address the crisis. It will be held here at 6th and Main at the Wells Fargo Bank on Thursday.
Community activists are speaking out against the violence they say is plaguing the city. Just one day after a gang-related mass shooting left one person dead and 5 others injured, and 2 days after another shooting outside a local laundromat killed 24-year-old Cortez Weldon.
This is a state of emergency.
Tonight, the Black Commission called anyone and everyone to attend what they called an emergency meeting, saying, quote, gun violence among young African Americans is a crisis. Some have even experienced the loss of a child to gun violence, including Sissy Shepard, mother of Keegan Roberts, and Latasha Hobbs, mother of Maurice Hobbs.
People are upset and outraged about the community, what's going on in our community. We need to find some sort of median, some sort of common ground for all of us to become unified.
Black Commission CEO Dilo Seco Seabrooks spoke to concerns such as low self-esteem and lack of jobs as core issues resulting in gun violence. I asked District 10 City Councilman Terrence Freeman what he believes may be the cure to the violence, and he gave a similar answer.
When I talk to people and I ask them what could change the scenario for them, they said a job, being able to earn an income.
He tells me economic opportunities and communication from the city and stakeholders are essential.
It's going to take a village to now protect these kids. We always say the village to raise them. It's going to take a village to protect them.
So this is cliche by now, but it's still equally true. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. What was new and different about this? Nothing. All they were saying was, we just didn't quite get that mix of all free stuff. We just didn't combine it the exact right way. And that's why there's so much black violence and dysfunction in Jacksonville. Darn. Can you give us 100 more chances to try the same thing? over and over again in Jacksonville.
Please, sir, I want some more.
But for everything they said in these videos, here's what they didn't say. But this is what is screaming off these videos loud and clear. Yes, we do have an enormous level of black violence and criminality in Jacksonville, and it's been that way for a long time. And we do not believe black people are responsible for their own behavior. That's the first thing this video said. Second thing it said is, this kind of screamed out too. It's my favorite quote in all the videos. We are not going to arrest our way out of this mess. So when a couple hundred black people go to the beach in Jacksonville and they rampage through the beach and the boardwalk beating the hell out of people, we cannot arrest our way out of that mess. When the same thing happens downtown and people are shot, we cannot arrest our way out of that mess. And when the same thing happens in the malls and in the schools and in the parks, we cannot arrest our way out of that mess. Well, in the end, all we have is one big fat mess, and everybody pretty much agreeing that there's nothing we can do about it because every darn thing that would work makes the black kids angry.